The next lesson we're going to talk about is multiplying and dividing integers. I put them together instead of separate because I think multiplying and dividing integers is a little bit easier than adding and subtracting integers, and they kind of go hand in hand. Let's take some reminders of what multiplication and division are. So multiplication is repeated addition. So for example, if we have something like 2 times 3, you're basically you have two groups of 3, so you can do 3 plus 3, or you can also flip it around. You can have 3 groups of 2. Division is splitting up into equal parts or groups, so it's your total divided by the number of groups. So this first number, 6, divided by 2, the first number gives you your total. And this gives you the number of groups. So if we have 6 different things, and they want you to split it up into groups. So when we're talking about division, they want it equal. You got to be fair, you got to be equal. So there's 6 things, and you want it into 2 groups. So it'll give you 2 groups of 3. So again, you should be multiplying and dividing probably since like 3rd or 4th grade. So that's just a reminder of what multiplication and division are. So when we're multiplying or dividing integers with the same sign, the answer will always be positive. So if you have a positive times a positive, your final answer will be positive. If you have a negative times a negative, your answer will be positive. And if you have a positive divided by a positive, your answer will be positive. And if you have a negative divided by a negative, your answer will be positive. We'll go over why in a minute. So for example, we have 3 times 4. We know that's going to be 12. Okay? That's just normal 2 positive numbers that you've been seeing ever since elementary school. The next one, we have negative 3 times a negative 4. So our answer is going to be a 12, but is it going to be negative or positive? We have 2 negatives, so when it's the same sign, it's going to be positive. So it's just going to be 12. Okay, we have 9 divided by 3. It's just going to be 3. It's normal everyday division. We have negative 9 divided by a negative 3. There's 2 negatives, so they're the same sign. It's always going to be positive. So what's 9 divided by 3? Gives you a positive 3 again. You may ask, why do 2 negatives make a positive? So normally multiplication, I'm going to show you an example of multiplication because it's just a little bit easier. Why do 2 negatives make a positive? So normally multiplication is repeated addition. But now when we have negatives, it's negative 4 times a negative 3. That negative 4 tells us we're taking away 4 groups of negative 3. So it's minus a negative 3, minusing another negative 3, minusing another negative 3, and minusing another negative 3. Okay, so we're taking away 4 groups of negative 3. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. As we learned in our last, 2 negatives make it positive. So now when we add these all up, your answer is going to be 12. Okay, so you're taking away 3 groups, or taking away 4 groups of negative 3. So that's why you're subtracting. It means taking away, and you're taking away negative 3. Okay, then when you actually do all the math out, your double negatives turn into positive. You add all the 3's together, it gives you a positive 12. So that's an example of why 2 negatives make a positive. When you're multiplying and dividing integers with different signs, your answer will always be negative. So when you have a positive times a negative, it's going to be negative. When you have a negative times a positive, it's going to be negative. When you have a positive divided by a negative, it's going to equal a negative. And when you have a negative divided by a positive, it's going to equal a negative. So, we have negative 4, times 3. So, don't worry about the sign to the end. We have 4 times 3 is 12. As our rule up top, we have different signs, so your answer will be a negative 12. Or if you take it the other way, 4 times a negative 3 again, don't worry about the sign until the end. So we have 4 times 3 is 12, and we have a positive and a negative, so they're different signs. Your answer is going to be negative. We have 12 divided by a negative 2. Do the math first, and then worry about the sign. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and we have two different signs. We have a negative 2 and a positive 12, so it's going to be negative. We have a negative 12 divided by 2. Again, it's going to be 6. We have a negative 12 and a positive 2. Different signs means it's going to be negative. So let's remember the commutative property to help make things a little bit easier, and I can show you why multiplying or dividing with different signs gives you a negative. So remember, we have 2 times 4, or if you have 4 times 2, they both equal 8. So when two numbers are multiplied together, the product is the same regardless of the order, so you can change the order. Okay, we have negative 5 times 3. Okay, I want you to use the commutative property to change it to 3 times a negative 5. Okay, so this means that we have 3 groups of negative 5. So here's a negative. Okay, these are all negative. So if we have 3 groups of negative 15, what is our final answer? Or sorry, I'm giving you the answer. 3 groups of negative 5 gives you a negative 15. Okay, so that is why anytime we have different signs, it's going to be negative. So as you looked at this first one, negative 5 times 3, I changed it to 3 times negative 5 to help you understand it a little bit more. So using the commutative property, I showed you how or why multiplying or dividing, I'm not going to show you a dividing example, numbers with different signs is negative. So the steps to multiplying or dividing integers, you want to multiply or divide like normal and then figure out the sign at the end. So there's this little Mickey Mouse guy that can help you decide what the sign is going to be, and there's also this little tic-tac-toe board, and I'll go over more of these little hints with you in class tomorrow. You might like them, they might confuse you, so we'll go into more detail about all this tomorrow in class.